Okay, good afternoon, members. It is now 2 o'clock. Reconvening. We're on page 24, everyone. From the Committee on Housing, Sustainability, Economy, and Health, Councilmember Wire.
I move that Committee Report 6, Resolution 25-2 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Wire for the explanation.
This is urging the Hawaii State Legislature to adopt legislation that would create a universal free school lunch program for public school students.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any objections or excuse me, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR6 and Resolution 25-2 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 24, Councilmember Wire.
I move that Committee Report 7 and Resolution 25-3 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Wire for the explanation.
This is reaffirming the city policy as set forth in Resolution 309 FD1 adopted on April 16, 2003, that municipal solid waste landfills should not be located in proximity to the city's underground drinking water resources.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have 3 persons, but I believe Mr. Lau is here in person. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Aloha, Mr. Lau. Please proceed.
Aloha, members, chair and members. Ernie Lau, manager for the Honolulu Board of Water Supply. We stand in support of this resolution. We appreciate the council's position to protect our VI, which is reflected, I think, going all the way back to 2003. Landfills are a concern, especially if they're located above a freshwater resource or underground aquifer, because we know the contaminants are going to be generated from that landfill will be a problem or a threat to contaminate our groundwater below the landfill should the containment systems fail at some point in its future. Landfills are basically permanent facilities. Once located and filled, it's there forever. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Any questions for Manager Lau? Seeing none, thank you very much. I believe we also have Alfred Maderos. Mr. Clerk, is Mr. Maderos available?
The testifier is not responding.
Okay, next we have Rachel Chu.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chu is not logged on.
Okay, that's all I have for registered testifiers. Is there anybody else who's not registered who'd like to testify? Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you guys, Chair, Council members. Thank you guys for your time today. My name is Cody Sula with the Iron Workers Union on behalf of our Managing Director, George Paris. We'd like to offer some support and comments on this resolution. So we are in strong support in making sure that there's no type of landfills around our drinking water and aquifers. The comments that we'd like to make is, and ask a few questions for you guys to consider is, when it comes to the drinking water sources, we'd like to just offer some of our experience. As you know, our managing director lives out in Nanakuli, and he's actually been a strong opponent of landfills and also PVT, construction and demolition landfill out there in Nanakuli. And some of the effects that we've seen in the CDC reports over the past few years. And he's a strong advocate in pushing what we know today as Act 73, which actually created the buffer zone, a half-mile buffer zone around landfills from any homes, schools, etc. Now, the thing that we want to bring up today to offer comments on is when it comes to water sources or aquifers, we just want to get clarification and maybe some consistency. Back in 2021, our organization had written a letter over to Mr. Ernie Lau asking him about the aquifer located on the Waianae coast, which is directly near PVT and the Waimanalo Gulch landfill. And after we raised that as a concern. Afterwards, we received a letter back, and I don't have it with me, stating that it wasn't that big of a concern because that water is non-potable. When we looked up and asked for clarity on what is non-potable, it just means there's salt in the water. So we just have some concerns about that because we do know that Kalailoa does have a desalinization facility to clean out some of the salt in the water, and they're using that as a water source. So why can't that be the same for the Waianae Coast? That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, Chair.
Oh, I'm
Chair?
sorry, Councilmember
no worries.
āina.
Thank you for taking the time to come and testify. Relating to Act 73, you don't support opening up Act 73, do you?
No, not at this time.
Thank you. And I asked for your kokua because I have to tell you, I appreciate the resolution today and I appreciate the Board of Water Supply's position, but the fact is 77% under their scenario is off limits. When you look at the 23%, it's on the coastline, which includes the Waianae Coast, which includes the Windward Coast, Kaena Point, and parts of East Oahu. And it is not fair for them to reopen that act to decrease the buffer zone, because the buffer zone, protecting our water is critically important, but protecting our community is equally important. And the buffer, buffer of a half mile to schools, residences, and hospitals needs to remain the same. I know that I'm going to do what I can, including with our community, to oppose any effort, and I look forward to working with you guys on that front.
Thank you. We agree.
Thank you. Any further questions for the testifiers? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Is there anybody else from the audience who'd like to testify? Please come forward.
Aloha, my name is Allison Ka'olino Kaimana Arakaki Yasuoka. I did attend the Waihewa Neighborhood Board meeting about this, and there were many, many people there that also do not want our aquifers to be at risk, because yes, it was clearly stated to us that, like, I think 25 years, it would be, there's a certain way that they engineer it, and then 30 more years they look after it. But really, just like Director Lau said, it's what happens after that, right? It's and they said that they don't want anyone to bring up and comparisons with Red Hill. But when you think about how Red Hill was supposed to be protected and taken care of, and it's still leaked into our aquifers, I think we really need to think about that. And so I do support this, not building it over aquifer. One of the things that was brought up, that was the possibility, small possibility, that there's a Waipi'o Corpse Park that is being leased for 50 years, and that has the acreage. I actually live in Waipi'o. I have a unit in Waipi'o. My husband has a unit in Waikele. But if that's what it takes to protect our aquifer, that's what we need to do. Mahalo.
Thank you. Mr. Manaku.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. James K. Manaku Sr., concerned parent, grandparent, great-grandparent. I'm so grateful that you folks refused to pay the person that found a place for the rubbish dump over our aquifer. I couldn't believe that he found a place over an aquifer. I mean, it was such a big place, and he found a place for a rubbish dump over an aquifer. Wow. I'm so grateful that you folks turned him down. Anyway, we don't need it over an aquifer. And I thought it was plain that when you folks were looking for a rubbish dump, that the aquifer, over an aquifer was out of the question. Wasn't it plain to anybody that you folks, wasn't it plain enough for somebody that was looking for an aquifer, looking for a rubbish dump, that the aquifer was out of the question? I mean, here was an aquifer there was no aquifer here, and he would put the rubbish dump right over the aquifer. Wow, and he expected to be paid. I'm glad you folks get into it. So we need to look for some place that doesn't have an aquifer. Isn't there a place somewhere that doesn't have an aquifer? I mean, there must be somewhere on Oahu that doesn't have an aquifer. I mean, common sense will tell you that there's a place here on Oahu that doesn't have an aquifer. It should be so simple. I mean, you look in the ground and you can see over here, no more nothing, over here, get something. So I hope we can find some company that can do that for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, members, we're in discussion. Oh, please proceed.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of Roar Cares, neutral. I neither support nor oppose this resolution. So environmental pollution is very important. It causes damage to our planet and earth and ecosystem if we're not managing our trash. And so facilitation of a new landfill site is a very important debate to facilitate the discussions as heard on neighborhood board, as well as the general public, and as well as managing the feedback from the state. I think there should be perhaps a consideration for a working group, such as standard structuring for an organized activity to carry out functions of consolidating and synchronizing these discussions, right? So everyone, we can get them to all sit at the table at once to talk about it, is A, gathering the primary agencies, so state, county offices, B, making a list of the commission to carry out the functions of the responsibilities to really debate about it, right? Thank you so much.
In opposition, right?
Thank you. Oh, no, neutral, just brief comment to say that it's a better idea to get a working group going.
Thank you very much.
Instead of reaffirm a policy.
Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupolo.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the introducer and, of course, the ongoing discussions about this very important issue. I'm in support because placing landfills near our water sources threatens our health and our environment. This resolution ensures that we don't repeat past mistakes and reinforces our commitment to Olai Kawai. I thank Mayor Blangiard and his administration for the commitment to moving the landfill site out of Waianae. However, the root issue is that we're still relying too heavily on landfills. We need to reduce reliance on landfills by following models from, say, for example, Switzerland, who does waste-to-energy systems, Japan, Taiwan, who have effective recycling programs that divert significant waste and create much bioproduct and manage their organic waste through composting, biodigestion. Practices in India, Taiwan, in Fuzhou, China, they actually built parks above all their convenience centers, and their motto is no trash, no smelly odor. Amagerbach in Denmark has a recreational slope built on the roof of their incinerator, burns waste to produce heat, and has a climbing wall. There's so many ways we could do this. I don't know if anyone's read the ENV report 2019 that they have of our incinerator, H-Power, but it says there's two significant investments that we could make that might on the front end cost, but on the back end we would start to generate income. And I think that's what you want, Chair. That's what we all want. We want to be at the point where we're actually generating income with our trash, that it's making sense. So I support this resolution and hope that we can make much more strides in this area. And of course, thank ENV for the efforts that they are putting forth. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I apologize, members. I do note Roger Babcock and Michael O'Keefe are representatives from the administration if anybody wants to have the other side. I do notice that managing director is here as well. Just want to be fair to both sides. Any further discussion or questions of any of the administration? Councilmember Wire.
I did have some discussion, but I just want to know, I don't know if the hands raised online are for testimony, but I had discussion.
Okay, why don't we take the hand up first?
Okay.
I didn't see that earlier. Mr. Clerk? And I believe that's Mr. Maderos as well.
Aloha mai kako, Africa, Maderos, ko inoa, no Waianae mai au. First off, I'd like to say mahalo to Councilmember Matt Wire and Reedy Cordero for bringing this resolution up once again. Ola ikawai, water is life. Without water, we have no life. as a Kia'iwai that stands firm to protecting our vai, this is very vital that we don't build a landfill above our aquifer. We do not risk any more harm and a continuation of what's been done before. We can't have the same situation happen like the Kapokaki Red Hill. You know, there's no other way to say it, but besides, we got to do better. We got to educate better. You know, we started a nonprofit called āina. It's a group of farmers, and what we're doing together is getting better ideas to the people out there. And I would love to work with the city council. As right now, I'm going to the āina right now to what's it called? Disperse water catchment systems to our community farmers right now. You know, because there's better ways to do better. You know, our plan is to give away compost buckets where we would pick up compost buckets weekly. You know, we got to teach our keiki about consumption. You know, it's all about use and practices. You know, the 3 R's: reduce, recycle, reuse, right? That's the whole thing we got to do. I think we forgot the concept of that it's education. If they want to build a landfill, the mayor, why not at the Admiral Thomas building? You know, that seems like a perfect location. You know, or take it with him back to New Jersey where he's from. You know, type of stuff like that. I know that many people in Hawaii would rather pay for our trash to be taken elsewhere than to build another landfill or to extend one on our side of Waianae, right? We're already over capacity with trash dumps on our side. And still yet people dump stuff on the side of the road, at the beaches, you name it. So it's all about education and enforcing the law in a better way. And building another landfill above somewhere else that's going to be contaminants, there's no excuse. I hear everybody who's opposed with this resolution. All I say is, what's going to happen if you build it and then it does the same thing like Kapokaki Red Hill? Will you guys take the fall for it? Because if you're going to be like the Navy and not take accountability for it, then you should be agreeing with this resolution like how we're doing as well. All we do is just brought this back up, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Maderos. Mr. Clerk, I believe there's one more hand that's up. I believe it's a phone number.
Yes, hello from the mainland. This is, of course, a very complicated situation where people, we pollute.
Can you state your name
garbage
for the record?
Oh, certainly. I'm sorry. Kimberly Goheen Elbert. Thank you, sir. From Clark County, Washington. And so we're having that problem also. It seems to me that being on islands, it would be very difficult to somehow find a spot for your waste. So the speakers that spoke about education, doing your own recycling at home the best we can. I've heard rumors that here when I recycle at my house, it goes into our facilities and then it was shipped over to China and they sent it back. Of course, that was millions of dollars, and they send it back because we don't know how to do it right or something. We've got to get together on this because we are, I won't say overpopulated. There's some that think we're not, some that think we are. However, I think that we are, and we definitely do not know how to manage our garbage. So I'm definitely an recycler. We eat organic. We do the best we can that way. But it's deep when our government is following agendas that also care about this, and they do. The United Nations cares about the world, of course.
Thank you.
But we need to do it under the Constitution, sirs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're in discussion. Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. And, you know, of course, Mahal, our co-introducer, and the committee so far that also passed it out. I am hopeful it'll pass today, and appreciate just the sentiments folks have shared about protecting our drinking water, our water resources. You know, again, mahalo to Chief Engineer Ernie Lau and Board of Water Supply. I'm grateful for everyone that came out. Of course, those today from Labor, and also they came out to the press conference yesterday at the Capitol. Of course, the Farm Bureau, the Sierra Club, and so many others across the community. I think for us, this really is just a starting point in understanding that we're going to need collaboration when talking about how to manage our waste, and totally agree with Councilmember Tupola at looking at, what's already been discussed, what's in our plans, what's possible, and where we can go from here. And so do see this, again, as I said, the starting point and understanding the challenges that the administration has with finding a location. I think it's just an opportunity for us to acknowledge that we're not going to sacrifice our drinking water or prime agricultural land, given the future that we want for our families and our youth. And my hope is, too, that, the media will kind of adjust their reporting, because they keep saying the city wants to put it somewhere, the city wants to put it somewhere. And we already know part of the executive branch, Board of Water Supply, doesn't support putting it above our drinking water. And with the council adopting the resolution, if we do, that would be the entire legislative branch. So just wanted to note that, because I heard it on HPR this morning when I was driving in, and it crossed my mind. But yeah, just wanted to thank all the advocates from our community and everyone that spent time on this issue, and look forward to working with our colleagues and, of course, administration on the path forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR7 and Resolution 25-3 CD1 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 25 from the Committee on Parks, Councilmember Tupola.
Chair, I move that CR8 and Resolution 24294 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tupola for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of one high-back traditional bench, preparation of the grounds, and a bronze plaque with an inscription to read, donated by the family of Victoria Sissy Cravallo Ewan, valued at $2,594.67 to the city from Align Franklin, to be installed at Pu'uloa Beach Park.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members who are in discussion. Seeing none, any reservations or objections? Noting none, CR8 and Resolution 24-294 has been adopted. Councilmember Tupola.
I move that CR9 and Resolution 24296 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tupola for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of 14 fabricated Chinese New Year's banners valued at $5,000 from Eddie Flores, a Better Chinatown Association, which will be displayed along Kekaulike Mall.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members who are in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR9 and Resolution 24-296 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 26 from the Committee on Zoning, Councilmember āina.
I move that Committee Report 10 and Resolution 24-256 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember āina for the explanation.
This resolution grants a special management area major permit and shoreline setback variance to allow for the construction of a new single-family detached dwelling and other improvements in Hawaii Kai, Oahu.
Thank you. Is there a motion to amend? Councilmember āina.
Yes, I propose a FD1, and the proposed FD1 removes condition J1, which would require the applicant to obtain a building permit for their construction project by June 30th, 2025. This deadline is unnecessary because the resolution grants the shoreline setback variance based on a 40-foot shoreline setback.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Manaku. Aloha.
Aloha. Yes, Mr. Chair, James K. Manaku again. As you know, in the state of Hawaii, we have this thing called access to the shoreline. And so my only concern is that this particular item will be infringing on the shoreline. So I'm just hoping that she will look on that, because it will infringe on my rights to the shoreline as a Hawaiian. So if she can look into that, it would be really helpful to us because I don't want to be infringe on anybody's right to their property. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember
Chair,
Kiaina.
I did want to just make some comments. You know, no matter what we pass, or no matter what county, state, or federal laws on the book, nothing can infringe on traditional customary practices of Native Hawaiians anywhere. So I just want to assure the previous testifier that that is not the case. And if in fact that arises, they have the appropriate venues to make a complaint with the appropriate agency and say that their customary and traditional practice are being infringed upon. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations to the motion to amend? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 24-256, CD1 has been amended to the posted FD1. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kiaina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR10 and Resolution 24-256, CD1, FD1 has been adopted. Councilmember Kiaina.
I move that Committee Report 11 and Resolution 24-297, CD1 as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kiaina for the explanation.
This resolution authorizes exemptions from certain requirements relating to 1142 Kinau Street Affordable Rental Housing Project in Honolulu, Oahu.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kiaina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR11 and Resolution 24-297, CD1 have been adopted. Moving to the top of page 27, Councilmember Kiaina.
I move that Committee Report 12 and Resolution 25-23, CD1 as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kiaina for the explanation.
This resolution grants a special management area major permit to allow the development of an 8-story multi-unit affordable rental housing project in Aiea, Oahu.
Thank you very much. I do believe we have registered testifiers, starting with Keholani Lam, followed by Claire Tanemoto. Aloha again.
Ikalamai, Claire tried to present testimony earlier and could not log in, so she may try to phone in on this one as well.
Okay.
Aloha mai kako o ke haulani lam ko inoa no Aiea mai au. O hawa iloa kawa akaulua, I'm ke haulani lam from Aiea. Thanking you for welcoming us today to present our views on this very important matter. Many of us have come today and will present different perspectives, and I know that you have received written testimony. You should have received my testimony, if you did, that showed pictures of the subject property. One of them is from the report that was presented to you that shows the proposed project, which it says is not near a shoreline. And I think you can all agree that it's very close to a shoreline. I represent Ali'ipuahi Hawaiian Civic Club, which is headquartered in Aiea. And 10 years ago, Uncle Sad Kane of the Oahu Council of Kakuhihewa gifted to us the kuleana to help the Navy restore Loko'i'a Pa'aiao, a fish pond that is attributed to the Mo'i Wahine Kalani Manuia of Oahu 500 years ago. This places us to the time of Machu Picchu. Kalani Manuia lived there, that was her pond, and she had 2 other ponds beside that, Opu and Pa'akea. And I write that in my testimony, but I feel like it hasn't been heard. And if you would honor me to just have 1 more minute that I can share who she is, because I want you to know who she is. She was the daughter of Kukani Loko, the great-granddaughter of Maili Kukahi, the chief who created the Ahupua'a system, and the grandmother of Kakuhihewa. She was the first cousin of Pi'ilani, the chief of Maui, who at the same time cared for Mokuhinia Fish Pond in Lahaina, the home of Kihavahine, which the community is championing to restore today. We are trying to do the same. We are having great success at Pa'aiao. Opu too can come back in some form, but this project will render that almost impossible. Others will speak to the ecological. I feel like more information has been withheld from you for some reason, and we are happy to sit down with everyone and find a solution. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Ms. Lum? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. And Ms. Lum, if I may ask, I just wanted to make sure I was following. Because I think when I initially look at the project, I see it as going on to an existing development. So I'm just wondering if you could tell me more or share more so I can better understand.
Right.
When you say restoration intention going forward and how this would interfere with it, can you just tell me more about that?
Sure. I think if you look at Claire Tamamoto of ACA, and maybe she'll present it, she goes into great detail of how this SMA district came about and the whole reason for protecting the shoreline. These ponds were a system, a traditional ecological system. They were not silos. And to further make a silo of this building in the context of her 10.2-acre pond, erodes the entire system itself. The use of the water in particular, it sits, according to the report, this site sits above the Waimalu Aquifer, which is an important water source. Its report also finds that there was petroleum in the soil, partly because of a neighboring auto repair shop that needs to be remedied or even studied. It also says they're going to inject 10 feet, I believe it is, 10 stories down into the water and the bedrock. The bottom picture you see shows that that's water in 1920. In Pa'aiao, part of that was filled in and homes are in that. But guess what? The water is rising underneath and they're having to pump the water out. So I don't see why it won't happen to this space as well. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing the insight. Mahalo, it does.
Yeah, mahalo.
Thank you. Any further questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Next, we have Claire Tamamoto. Or Allison Kaimana.
Hi.
Aloha.
Hi.
Please proceed.
Can you hear me? Aloha. Hi, my name is Claire Tamamoto. I'm watching on, I think, a delayed YouTube screen, so you're out of sync here. So I'm hoping that it is my turn to talk.
Yes, it is. Please proceed.
I apologize for thank you. I apologize for my earlier miss being able to speak because of my lack of technical skills. I stand by my testimony. My name is Claire Tamamoto. I represent the Aya Community Association and the Friends of the Pearl Harbor Historic Trail. The Pearl Harbor Historic Trail was formulated and finally established according to my testimony. But what I want to explain to you folks is 25, 30 years ago, we rallied the community. We sought out and developed hours and put in hours and hours of man hours, brought people to testify to the council. You know, I don't think many of you were there. In fact, I don't think any of you were there. So you don't have that historical background. But the community came out, and one of the main points the community members that we heard over and over is, why do you want us to participate when whatever we say is ignored? Whatever we put together, whatever plans we put down, sits on a shelf and is not used. I cited in my testimony numerous plans that were put together. The Aya Pro City Transit-Oriented Development, the Aya Pro City Livable Communities Plan, the Aya Town Center Plan, the Friends of Pearl Harbor Historic Trail Plan. These were all plans that were contracted either through the city administration or the Department of Planning and Permitting and Department of Construction. These plans outline what the community would like to see for the future going forward when we are no longer here. I brought my 93-year-old aunt 20 years ago to city council, and she had a lot of white hair, and she was respected a lot, and she got major applause. And I think now I feel like I'm qualified to be kapuna and to be able to talk and say when I speak to the young people of Aiea and I say, why should you care? Because we're not doing this for us. We're not doing it for my age. We're doing it for people, for generations to come. And we're not saying, well, Councilmember Wire, asked, there's an existing structure there. There are 8 two-story buildings that are there that they're talking about demolishing and replacing that on 42,000 square feet with an 8-story building. In order to put that and support that 8-story building, they're going to have to go down over 100 feet down to put pilings in to support that. On top of that, and they're going to hit water. They're definitely going to hit water, okay? You can see the water now flowing. If you come to Aiea, you can see it, fresh water flowing now. And all this emphasis on preserving our water and making sure we replenish, when we have the opportunity, and Department of Planning Permitting should know this, when we have the opportunity to redevelop, we should not redevelop in a way that is more harmful to the āina than it's already there. We testified about Best Buy. We testified about the new McDonald's that came along, all that, sure. If you look at those plans, all of the plans that were put together restrict building height below Cam Highway to 60 feet or below. So for the process, for the integrity of the process and what was done, we should honor those plans and we should take serious the words of the kapuna that came before us and put all that work together. Because they put many, many, many hours through this. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mrs. Tamamoto. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none. Next is Allison Kaimana, followed by Jason Arakaki. Mr. Clerk, is Allison Kaimana? Oh, there you are.
Yes, I'm Allison Ka'olino Kaimana, and my husband is Jason Arakaki. So I'm testifying for my family because we live in Aiea. The concern, I sent in a written testimony, and in that written testimony, I put all of these issues with building so close. One of them is the SMA. The next is the wildfire ignition density maps for Hawaii, year 2016. It also shows Maui in 2016, and it does show that Lahaina is a high risk. And if you look at the Oahu map, Pu'uloa is showing the exact same thing. Are we going to seriously ignore that? Additionally, the hurricane storm surge on my data, it shows that the water depth would be 4.5 feet. There's also a tsunami, and presently there is something called the Kapalama Container Pier that is being redesigned. It's to address sea level rise, which is anticipated to have a height of 3.6 feet. So we need to take all of these things into consideration. Mahalo for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Ms. Kaimana? Seeing none. Is Mr. Arakaki available? No. Okay. Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk, is there any other people wishing to testify? Please proceed.
Aloha nui kako. O vau o Kelly Herther, noho vau I Aiea. I'm Kelly Herther. My home is in Aiea. We oppose the resolutions, this resolution, because we believe the project is flawed, short-sighted, a potential waste of government funds, and a visual, ecological, and environmental blight. I'd also like to add mahalo nui to our area council member for supporting us. Moreover, as longstanding and successful proponents of affordable housing in our community, we know that there are alternatives where a truly affordable housing project can be built nearby. I just want you to understand we're not NIMBY, okay? We just don't like this proposed project. It's perplexing that in the area directly affected by the closing of freshwater wells that a permit should be given to a project that by its own admission sits directly over the Waimalu aquifer and is an important water source before any meaningful study has been done. The project's own report finds that the site may experience a potential environmental concern, which you've already heard about, as it's located in close proximity to a business that uses a large quantity of petroleum projects. It further describes the presence of asbestos and lead paint, which can cause great harm to the sea life and waters. The site's also noted as being within the area of inundation of the 1% flood and will be well within the 3 and 7 feet rise within the near future. Moreover, it sits in the highest risk red zone for wildfire, identical to that of Lahaina, which you just heard as well. You guys probably already know this, but Hawaiians understood and still understand that there's no greater wealth than water. Ola'i kawai. May I continue and finish my statement?
Please.
Thank you. Mahalo nui. This new structure cannot be built without impaling the depths of the water system 90 feet below, I'm not sure who's right, me or Auntie Claire, 90, 100 feet, and ejecting cement and fill that does not currently exist nor belong there. A very important flaw in the report says that the closest water source to the property is the Kalawao stream a half mile away, when in fact, the Auwai, or ditch, that carries fresh water from Kahuiwai, the Kalawao springs, that flow water into Sumida Watercress Farm, passes parallel to the property. Oh no. Only feet away, and a drainage ditch that carries runoff from the site feeds directly into the Auwai and downstream into the harbor. Individually, the site may appear to untrained eyes to have no adverse impact on cultural or traditional practice. A'ole. But through the lens of the SMA and a higher consciousness, the cumulative effect of its construction will destroy all opportunity for the restoration of one of the most important historic complexes, over 30 acres of fish ponds that were built by the Mo'i Wahine Kalani Manuia, who ruled the island of Oahu in the time before Kamehameha united all the islands in 65 years of peace and abundance. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to testify on this matter? Aloha, please proceed.
Aloha, everybody. I'm Ivalani Lebon McBrayer. I am a Kapolei homesteader in Kaupea Homestead, and I'm here to actually support Resolution 2523 in granting a special management area major permit to allow the development of an 8-story multifamily affordable rental housing. As a Native Hawaiian, I do see the importance of water, and my husband and I had our own construction in Timmy's concrete pumping, so we understand the drilling of the piles that goes in. And from what I read, you know, they did do water studies that didn't have an effect. And as I look on the history, I understand it, but I see the development already in that specific area on this resolution. As a Native Hawaiian, I see that affordable housing is very important. We got 30,000 on the wait list. I speak for those like Pua Freitas and others that are on the wait list, that in order for them to attain home ownership, we need affordable housing, and I'm here today to support it. As from what I read that was in the documents, you know, I believe that they have taken the right steps to do it, and where they're developing, I guess, as a Native Hawaiian, I don't want to oppose anyone or come against, but the respectful Pono practices that we had, I support it because I do see that the due diligence was done in completing this affordable housing project. So I'm here as a Native Hawaiian in respecting all people to support this resolution of 2523. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, is there anybody else who'd like to testify? Seeing none, members, we are in discussion. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. Is anyone from DPP here?
DPP? Is there anybody from Department of Permitting and Planning here?
No? Okay. I guess I'll ask the applicant.
Please.
Thank you. May I call the applicant up?
Yes.
Whomever. So first off, we are taking up the SMA, is that correct? So for the SMA, I know we talked about it more in depth in the committee, but with the full council here, there's been many concerns, and I've raised concerns through the over-year discussion that we've talked about this, about the different concerns that have been raised by the community today.
Yeah, aloha Chair, Vice Chair Wire, honorable council members. My name's Keegan Flaherty. I'm with Āina Development. We're a local real estate development company focused on affordable housing. We have been working on this specific affordable rental housing project for quite some time now. That began in the middle part of 2023. We did begin community outreach at the end of 2023. And during that process, we did hear concerns that were brought up to us throughout the community engagement and our draft environmental assessment, whereby there was concerns about this project's potential negative impacts on water quality and quantity in the area. And so with that information, we went back and we were able to look into the water, and it was something that we were very sensitive about as well. And so what we did was we looked at all the ways in which our project will be mitigating any negative impacts to water. We actually had a hydrogeological survey, which is a report to substantiate our claims that there's no negative impacts to any of the water resources in the area. We looked at its proximity to the nearby streams, underground aquifer, that sort of thing, in addition to Sumida Farms, which is Malka of the project site. But in that process, we went through all of the studies and described ways which were shared at the zoning committee meeting a couple weeks ago, by which we're implementing low impact development measures as well as best management practices to ensure that we're not affecting water resources in the area. And that's primarily what the SMA is about, as well as our environmental assessment, which we completed. We inputted all of our responses to community concerns about water in our environmental assessment, which was submitted to DPP, and DPP issued a finding of no significant impact, which means that there's no significant environmental impact that warrants any further environmental review. So that's all substantiated in our environmental assessment as well as the SMA.
Thank you. And for the hydrological report as well as the environmental assessment, was that done, were you originally going to do that, or was that in response to the different meetings from their first round of outreach?
Yeah, so the concerns surfaced to us after our draft environmental assessment was delivered to DPP and circulated to the public. In response to those concerns and to finalize our environmental assessment process, we had hired a third-party hydrologist to substantiate our claims.
Oh, okay, so I see. So how long was that process, and was that presented to the community as well?
Yeah, so that process took about 4 to 5 months to finalize with DPP. And once we had received our finding of no significant impact from DPP, we moved on to submitting our SMA application. And the SMA application contained that same information. We also had a public hearing as well on that SMA back in October with DPP. And we presented our findings and information to the community in January at the neighborhood board.
Okay. So I know that I should reserve maybe further zoning requirements for the project for the next resolution. But is it okay, Chair, if I ask it for this?
Yeah, please proceed.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, are you building above or separate from what the current zoning allows for?
Yeah, so we are requesting an exemption to the height limit currently outlined in the underlying zoning, which is, we're requesting an exemption of an additional 60 feet, and that's presented in our 201H application.
Okay.
That's primarily to get the density that we need to make this project work.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, we'll bring that up at the other part. I don't want to go into the 201H. Okay, so I know that there's I mentioned a few different water concerns as it relates to not just like the named streams that flank the surrounding streets, but also the ones that can come up from like the shore, but also through, I guess, a project in general. And I know that the Board of Water Supply stood with their testimony to allow for that, and with the 201H. But I mean, how else are you going to manage it? Like if it does go through with things we don't plan for, with water issues we don't plan for, that your property doesn't plan for?
Yeah, if I'm correct in understanding, it seems like you're asking about potential flood, tsunami, storm surge, those types of future events in relation to this project. So that was also analyzed too in our EA and SMA. Flooding, there was nothing that we needed to do in terms of mitigating any potential future floods as we were in flood zone X. So there was no mitigation there, but in fact, 90% of the ground floor of this proposed project is surface parking. So the units are going to be protected if there was any flood in the future.
Okay. Thank you. I do see that we have Ms. Kruger from the Department of Planning and Permitting. But Chair, may I call DPP?
Actually, do you mind if there's any other questions for the applicant, and then we can move to DPP? Members, any other follow-up questions with the applicant? Seeing none, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Please proceed, Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. Hi, Liz. Thank you very much for rushing over here. And I know that you're fully aware of the concerns that we've been talking about, especially as it relates to first off, we're starting with the SMA, and then talking about the different reports that was submitted to DPP by the applicant. And so, I mean, I know that we touched a little bit on this, but like honing down on the point of where is the DPP's and city's assurance of approving an SMA going to have for like unknowing but pretty close future effects on a project that already sees water issues in and around the area?
Good afternoon, Chair and Council members. I'm Elizabeth Krieger with Department of Planning and Permitting. So if I'm understanding your question correctly, you're saying when we evaluate a project, how can we ensure that we're addressing both current impacts but also future impacts? Is that right? Okay. When it comes to the building permit process, there are a lot of different codes that come together to ensure that a project does not have adverse impacts on the surrounding area. So our stormwater quality management review makes sure that any development on a property does not increase the stormwater that would go off of the property based on the current situation. So this project will have to show that. They have already told us the information that they have about how they're going to mitigate that, but that review will continue during the building permit process. So that's one thing. Our flood hazard areas ordinance, which is chapter 21A, also addresses that. This site is in flood zone X so that it doesn't apply. And also the sea level rise exposure area looks to the future to anticipate future flooding hazards relating to sea level rise. And for this site, we didn't identify any impacts.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions for DPP? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. Mahalo, Ms. Krieger. And maybe, and I just wanted to quickly maybe go from where you left off. So you're saying there weren't any identifiable impacts from those changes we're going to be seeing?
Yes. The 3.2 foot sea level rise anticipated impacts within that part of Pearl Harbor were all closer to the shoreline.
Okay. And then I know a part of the, and last question, conversation was about the boring and impact below. Could you just walk through maybe your reaction or thoughts?
Sure. I'm not an engineer, but as I understand it, the question about how you would design footings has to pull in all of the different elements that you're dealing with, where the groundwater is, what kind of soil type you're working with, and what the surrounding infrastructure and development is like. So for this project, they specifically designed with this one particular kind of piling. We did route this to our engineers. Their preliminary analysis was that they didn't have any concerns with it. That is another thing that will be, again, reviewed during the building permit process, because that's when the final plans and drawings come through. But yeah, based on the information that was provided to us, we didn't have concerns.
Okay, mahalo. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions, members? Seeing none, thank you. Final call. Is there anybody else who'd like to testify? Please come forward.
Okay, thank you. Aloha, Chair and council members. My name is Patty Tankayo, and I'm a principal of Āina Development. I am a native Hawaiian. I was brought up on Molokai, an island that we have activists, and we're very passionate about our environment, especially. So as a principal of this company, I take environmental issues on a higher level. So when it came to the water issues, I said, Keegan, I'm a Hawaiian. We have to make sure that we're doing the right thing. We always have to be pono. So we hired a hydrologist to make sure that we are not going to harm the water. Because yes, water is very important. So as a developer, it's really, really difficult to do affordable housing, because no matter what community we go to, even in the Hawaiian communities, people who have homes, they always, they don't want affordable housing in their community. I know it's very challenging for you folks, but I just want to say, as a native Hawaiian, I made sure that the water was not going to be hurt, and our people are not going to be hurt by this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none. Okay, members, any further discussion? Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Cordero?
No.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember āina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 no.
Thank you. CR 1-2 and Resolution 25-23, CD1 has been adopted. Members, turning to the bottom of page 27, Councilmember āina.
I move that Committee Report 13 and Resolution 25-26 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember āina for the explanation.
This resolution authorizes exemptions from certain requirements relating to the Hale o Lipoa Affordable Rental Housing Project in Aiea, Oahu.
Thank you. I note we have 3 registered testifiers again, starting with Keholani Lam.
Aloha mai kako, o ke haulani lam, no aiea mai au. Mahalo nui for the opportunity to express again on behalf of Ali'i Poahi Hawaiian Civic Club our opposition to this resolution in conformance with our opposition to the previous motion. I would like to, if I may, remind the council that the exemptions that are in this measure are increasing way beyond what is currently there. There's no piercing there right now. This will allow piercing that will take it even higher. I would also like to encourage you to look at the history of water around that area in the last few years. When a pylon was put in across the street for the heart, the lens was broken and the water flowed for 3 days. I'm sure the engineers at that time approved that and said, this will work. I can make sure it's not going to happen. But I think it's important for you to do your due diligence to know that. Thank you so much. Aloha.
Members, any questions for Ms. Lam? Seeing none, thank you. Is Claire Tamamoto available?
Mr. Chair, the testifier is no longer logged on.
Thank you. Allison Kaimana?
Aloha, my name is Alison Ka'olino Kaimana Yasuoka Arakaki. I am in alignment with Anake Kehaulani Lam. I honor her ike and her lineage to this place, Aiea. One of the things that she just brought up about the breaking of the lens, the similar thing happened in Mo'iliili, which is actually where I grew up, where there's karst and underground water tunnels. And when that was broken, the water from above also flowed downwards. If you ever have the chance to drive there, I drove there last night because I really wanted to get an idea of what this space looks like. Right above of it is Sumida Farms. Right above of it is Ka'onohi Kalo, Loko Kalo, Lo'i Kalo. So if just like how Auntie said, right, there's no intention, right? After the breaking happens, after the water flows out, it cannot be repaired. And you can say, oh, we went to the engineers, they said this, they said that, but it's too late when it happens. So, sorry, I just want to make one other point. It was about insurance. So yes, affordable housing is great, but as we all know that when we build in places where there's a lot of risk, the home insurance is going higher and higher. As a person that was a teacher, I make below $70,000 a year. I wouldn't qualify for this affordable housing. But then on top of that, I would have to be paying this high insurance rate. So I think we have to consider all these things when we talk about affordable. Is it really affordable? Is a project that I went to for affordable housing, the developer said that if it doesn't sell to people in Hawaii because they can't afford it, then it just goes elsewhere. So how are we ensuring that affordable housing is actually going to our people? Mahalo.
Thank you. Angela Melody Young.
Angela Melody Young testifying in strong support of the project. I'm not even Hawaiian, 100% pure Chinese, but I want to support my friend's company. And I don't want to speak for the Hawaiian people, though I'd love the privilege to represent that community. But I love the Hawaiian people on this land. And my mom's a real estate agent, so I'm having a hard time with what to say to balance this discussion. But I think for people to debate about it again, is a very inefficient process for everyone trying to get to common goals of building housing units to shelter the citizens of Hawaii, as well as to get the Hawaiian communities to get them off the wait list, and yet to also preserve Hawaiian culture. It's a balancing act for everyone, for us all, to facilitate these dynamic discussions where people just like to fight. But moving forward, two options, I think, for sensitive topics like this, where it's about Hawaiian culture and housing, instead of wasting time and energy with neighborhood board discussions where people can already learn about the process, where people can read the documents and read about the assurance of having DPP's parameters for environmental protection and everything, people can perhaps propose a resolution of a work group to invite people to just sit together and try to get along for a moment to accomplish common goals together.
Thank you.
Or without being technical with a resolution, people can just be nice to each other and try to get something built. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
No.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Āina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto?
Excused.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 7 ayes, 1 no, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. CR 13 and Resolution 25-26, CD1 has been adopted. Turning to the top of page 28 from the Committee on Public Safety and Customer Service, Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. I move the Committee Report 14 and Resolution 24-267 be adopted.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Okimoto for the explanation.
Urging the City Administration and the Honolulu Police Department to create a new police substation in Mililani.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Okimoto?
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify, we've talked about this in the Public Safety Customer Service Committee. Just wanted to put on record here that this resolution seeks to create a new substation in Mililani. During the hearings of this resolution, HPD has expressed concerns about the ability to staff a new substation, and I understand and support and acknowledge the concerns of the department and concur with their staffing assessment. This resolution seeks to reaffirm the community's desire to have a new police substation when the resources are available, as well as highlighting the need to add a new patrol district for Mililani and Pearl City to lessen the impact on the communities on the North Shore. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 14 and Resolution 24-267 has been adopted. Councilmember Okimoto.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 15 and Resolution 25-25 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Okimoto for the explanation.
Requesting the City Administration to submit the updated 2025 Local Hazard Mitigation Plan to the City Council.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no registered testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. First off, I want to thank the Director of the Department of Emergency Management. I recognize the hard work that they've been putting forward, and my main concern was to just ensure that certain federal funding that can come with updating our local hazard mitigation plan is safe, but also wanting to add to the updating to the different neighborhood boards across the island that they be informed of what the updates are once approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 15 and Resolution 25-25 has been adopted. Turning to the top of page 29 from the Committee on Planning, Infrastructure, and Transportation, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 18 and Resolution 24-220 be adopted, and it relates to proposing an amendment to Chapter 22, Revised Ordinances of Honolulu 2021, the subdivision ordinance relating to parks and playgrounds.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
We have one registered testifier remotely. But I do not believe that person's logged on from DR Horton, unless they're here. Oh.
Is Lee Tokuhara? Hello, welcome.
Hi. Good afternoon, Chair Waters, Vice Chair
Wire and members of the Honolulu City Council. My name is Lee Tokuhara, and I'm here representing D.R. Horton, Hawaii. Thank you for this opportunity to share our strong support for Resolution 24-220, Subdivision Ordinance Amendment relating to parks and playgrounds. I've submitted my written testimony, but can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for Ms. Tokuhara? Seeing none, thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, I see one person with their hand raised remotely.
Okay, please proceed.
Hello. Yes, Kimberly Goheen-Elbin from the mainlands, Washington State. As I'm listening to this form of government, I must say that it leans towards those presenters that bring things to you. And what I'm just trying to do is, you know, as a citizen, to have the people there in the islands understand their form of government and realize, and if you guys could correct me, I believe you are the member of an ICLEI, United Nations entity, which kind of is a crux of any of this that you're doing today, but that you're not listening to the people, and that's one sign that when you're elected to do the will of the people, not the developers. They, here in the mainland, they're just stripping us to death here, you know, tearing down our timber and everything. And we know also that our water supply is very key. I mean, we're in big trouble here with overpopulation pollution. And all growth is going to cause more pollution. That's all there is to it.
Thank you for your testimony today.
You know, small time. God bless you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do you have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you.
Chair?
Councilmember Kia āina.
You know, I have to tell you, I'm a little, you know, I guess baffled about this testifier because she's not even from here telling us what to do. Why don't she move to Hawaii, become a resident, and maybe provide robust discussion on some of the challenges we're facing? But I don't really need her mana'o right now. She doesn't live here. And she's telling us who we should listen to. She's, you know, so maybe if she comes to the hearing, come in person and sit down, then I can take her seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam? Aye. Councilmember Kia āina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Toba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 18 and Resolution 24-220 has been adopted. Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report -19 and Resolution 24-223 be adopted, and it proposes an amendment to Chapter 21 Revised Ordinances of Honolulu 2021, the Land Use Ordinance relating to sign standards for businesses in apartment and apartment mixed-use districts.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you very much for the explanation. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have Ms. Tokuhara in the chamber.
Good afternoon again, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Wire, and members of our Honolulu City Council. Lee Tokuhara, representing D.R. Horton, Hawaii. We strongly support Resolution 24-223, Land Use Ordinance Amendment relating to administrative enforcement. Again, I've submitted written testimony, but can answer any questions you might have.
Members, any questions? Seeing none, thank you again.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. We're in discussion, members.
Chair.
Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, I want to thank the Chair of Public Infrastructure Transportation for hearing both of these resolutions. For this particular one, I do support it and introduced it because it supports small businesses and allows for more than one sign on the ground level of our mixed use, which is kind of new for the city of Honolulu. So there's not a lot of this, but unfortunately in the law, it doesn't allow for more than one sign. In Ho'opili, residential and commercial spaces mixed clear signage helps businesses stand out. It also helps them with foot traffic, and studies show that 76% of consumers have entered a store simply because there was a sign. When our businesses succeed, our local economy strengthens. This resolution, as well as the previous one, will circle back to us in the form of a bill, so I'll be following it into the Planning Commission, but thank the Chair and the Council for the support of these resolutions.
Thank you. Members, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Āina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Tauba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 19 and Resolution 24-223 has been adopted. Actually, was that 220 or 224? Okay. Thank you, members. Turning to the top of page 30, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 20 and Resolution 25-1 be adopted, and it adopts the final Oahu Vision Zero Action Plan dated August 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded and explained. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, no registered testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much. In support of Resolution 25-1, the Oahu Vision Zero plan is greatly going to benefit my district, especially in Ewa and Kapolei, where we have so much new housing, streets that need better infrastructure. And I'm very grateful that the director suggested that it be a living document, because I did give it to all my neighborhood boards to give them feedback, especially in areas where we know that we've had ongoing accidents. And I thank DCS for doing such a thorough job. I do think that that document is going to attract more federal funding, which is exactly how you do it. So the other departments take note. I think Director Morton gave a very good template. And I think as far as our community is concerned, we are very grateful when they did interim solutions. And I'm hoping that we can put that in, because I think instead of waiting for heavy and expensive infrastructure, every time new housing comes up, we need interim safety solutions for traffic. Specifically in Kapolei, they did an R-cut where they prohibited all left turns because we had too many accidents in an intersection where the stoplight's still not up, and it's been 3 years. So I do thank DTS for their ongoing work and especially commend them on this particular plan.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 20 and Resolution 25-1 is adopted. Moving to the top of page 31, Vice Chair Āina, balance of committee reports.
I move that the balance committee reports be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Wire for the explanation.
PINTCR 21 requesting consideration of Grant of Sewer Easement 3379 for public use in Ewa, and PINTCR 22 requesting consideration of deed conveying drain channel lot 19211, Grant of Drainage Easement 10299, Grant of Sewer Easement 1442, and Grant of Sewer Easement 9553 for public use in Ewa.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, balance of committee reports have been adopted. There being no unfinished business, new business. Top of page 32, Councilmember Wire.
I move that Resolution 24295 be adopted, and this is accepting a gift of $8,144.50 from the City of Honolulu Zoological Society.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting none, Resolution 24-295 has been adopted. Councilmember Wire.
I move that Resolution 2534 be adopted, and this is approving the Hawaii State Association of Counties nominees to the National Association of Counties and the Western Interstate Region Board of Directors for the 2025 to 26 term.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded and explained. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you, members. Any discussion? Any objections or reservations? Noting none. Resolution 25-34 has been adopted. Councilmember Wire.
Move that Resolution 2535 be adopted. This is reaffirming Olelo Hawaii as an official language of the state of Hawaii.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded and explained. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have a Jonathan Osorio, but I do not believe the testifier is logged on.
Wonderful. Well, is Mr. Osorio logged on?
Do not see him logged on, sir.
Okay. 1 second. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Kia āina.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, thank you for your leadership on this measure. I am proud to co-sponsor this resolution to affirm that Olelo Hawaii is an official language of the state of Hawaii. And I know that this is dear to us, not only as Native Hawaiians, but of course in in February, we will be having Olelo month. As you guys can probably see down in the courtyard here, we have a beautiful artwork that Meliana Meyer helped to put together with a team of an umeke. And I believe that once it's open, the opening is going to be on February 14th at noon. And I believe there's going to be food. If you can look inside, you guys, you're gonna be able to gather inside, and I understand that the whole idea of this effort was not to not just to share Hawaiian culture, but also to have a place to promote peace. And so I just want to again, Chair, mahalo you for this, and I know that we had a dialogue, all three of us, myself, you, and Councilmember Tupola, with regard to a testifier who stated that Hawaiian language was a dead language. And of course, she was rebuffed not only by the city council, but the general public. And I just think that we need to take advantage of opportunities like that to just educate the larger community here, but just reaffirm our existence as a people and our language. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair. In support, and I will also be introducing another just resolution. I talked to OHA shortly after this resolution and the incident happened because, you know, the difference is that in New Zealand, when they did actually establish Maori as an official language, they did a commission. They talked about what laws and things needed to be implemented so that that second language would be acknowledged everywhere, from interpreters to documents that were going to be acceptable. We haven't done that here, despite the fact that Hawaiian's been an official language since the 70s. So I'm hoping that we can actually stand up a commission, talk through what laws need to be done, because we have people that are submitting reports to DLNR as state and city workers in Olelo Hawaii and being told that they cannot. And so I think we haven't delineated per the law what should be acceptable. So I hope we can take this even further. Let us all remember that it is an official language, but also let us make the actual codification in the law of what needs to be done to support Hawaiian language speakers. Mahalo to the introducers very much, and you know, I hope that it continues to live on in our children and the people here in Hawaii.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 25-35 has been adopted. Councilmember Wire.
I move that Resolution 2536 be adopted, and this is accepting a gift of registration fees, lodging, and meals valued at $1,967.36 to the city from the Honolulu Zoological Society.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded and explained. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members are in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 25-36 has been adopted. There are no items for the Committee on the Whole or executive session. Members, are there any announcements? Councilmember Tolba.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I just wanted to give a big mahalo to Larry Manutai in my staff office. She has served the District 9 office for 4 years and helped me lead and guide my office, through policy initiatives and also our Win Back Waipahu campaign. This will be our last week at the city. She'll be moving over to the state side as the Senate Minority Staff Attorney. And I just wanted to wish her best. And she's not only been a great asset to our staff, but truly a great friend. And I know she will do wonderful things for the people of our state. So thank you, Larry.
Awesome. Members, any other announcements? I take a minute. Jim Williston retired last month, and he didn't want us to put him up here in front of you all, because he is a very humble man. But may I just for a second read a speech that we prepared, just alohaing him. True to his nature, he didn't want us to recognize him as a formal ceremony, and I thought it was important that we thank him for his many years of service. Jim S. Williston was born in 1952 in Chicago, Illinois, and moved to Japan shortly thereafter with his mother to join his father, a civilian intelligence analyst for the U.S. Army. Williston Ohana later relocated to Oahu in 1958, and Jim grew up in Ko'olaupoku, Moku, attending Kainalu Elementary School, Aikahi Elementary School, and Kailua Intermediate, and ultimately graduating with pride from Kailua High School in 1970. Jim then earned 2 bachelor's degrees with a double major in mathematics and political science from the University of Puget Sound. He then returned to his island home to earn his Juris Doctorate in 1978 from the William S. Richardson School of Law at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, where he served as the president of his class. Jim has a distinguished career with the City and County of Honolulu Office of Council Services spanning nearly 4 decades, during which he served an unwavering dedication and excellence in various roles, including staff attorney, supervising attorney, assistant director, and director. He served as the council floor attorney and parliamentarian for 20 years at meetings like this, and never missed a single meeting. In addition, during his tenure as director of OCS, Jim oversaw the completion of 6,747 projects for the Honolulu City Council from 2017 to 2022, with an impressive 83.41% of these projects personally reviewed by him. OCS completed the first recodification of the revised ordinance of Honolulu since 1990 that transitioned to quarterly updates of the ordinances and the implementation of a professional online host of the ROH. Importantly, this enhanced the searchability for Hawaiian language terms and place names. So on behalf of the people of the City and County of Honolulu, the Honolulu City Council honors and celebrates Jim S. Williston on his retirement, and further extends its deepest gratitude and heartfelt appreciation to Jim Williston for his outstanding service, and wish him a fulfilling and joyous retirement. Yeah. Anybody want to opine? Okay, thank you all. Vice Chair, for the motion to adjourn.
I move that the meeting stand adjourned until Wednesday, February 26, 2025 at 10 a.m.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any objections? Seeing none, the council stands adjourned until Wednesday, February 26, 2025.